All right, I'm going to show you how you can use the program Fetch to connect to the MAT server at MiraCosta College. So Fetch isn't something that I would necessarily recommend that you go and get for your own computer, but it is currently what is on the Macintosh computers at MiraCosta College. And so you can go and get your own copy if you want. It is free, but you have to do registration and they send you a student serial number and all that. I find that's a lot easier to use CyberDuck, which is completely free download. It's very intuitive. But I'm showing you this because this is what you would need to use if you are on the computers at school. All right, so on the computers at school, there will be a whole bunch of stuff in this dock, but what you're going to be looking for is a little icon of a dog that looks like this. It's called Fetch. So you're going to click on that, and it's going to pop up like this, and it's going to ask you for a serial number. For right now, you can just go ahead and say try, and that's what's going to happen to you every single time on the school computers until they decide that they finally want to get a license for it. Anyway, so what you'll do is you'll enter the host name here, and the host name is mat.miracosta.edu. All right, that's the server name. Host name and server name are going to be the same. Um, like if you were to use a different program, it might be called server, right? It's the same thing as the host name. So username is going to be your W number. So for instance, if your W number is W123456 or whatever it happens to be, you would put your full W number here. Just so you know, mine is not a W number, so I'm going to use the one that I have access to just to show you. And then what you'll do next is you will use SFTP to connect, not regular FTP, and you're going to say allow, or actually you can say always allow, but if you're on the school server, you're going to have to do this every single time you reboot the computer or log in, but you can say always allow, and then it will, at least as long as you're currently logged into that account, or currently logged in on that computer, it'll at least always allow it. All right, and so it's SFTP, and then you would put your password in here. Okay, so my password is going to go in here, and your password is going to be the same as your surf password. And you can add this to the keychain if you want, but I don't, and in general, you shouldn't add that to the keychain on a public computer, but it's not going to remember it once it logs out or reboots, but you really ought to not use the keychain. So just in case it doesn't log out before someone else sits there, they don't get your connection. And then you're just going to click on connect. And what that'll do is it'll log you into the mat.miracosta.edu server. Okay, and then down here it did say getting file list, and now it says connected. And so just to give you a sense, of what you're looking at, when you first get into the mat.miracosta.edu server, you're going to see a whole lot of different stuff. And that is because it's used for multiple different classes with multiple instructors. So you'll need to know, which folder you're supposed to be looking for the specific class that you're using. So as a result, what I'll do is I'm going to end this demo here, and in the next demo, I'm going to show you specifically which folder that you would look for based on a specific class. So for this class, what we're going to be looking for is the mat120_Cotner folder. That's my last name, Cotner. So it's mat120_COTNOIR. You're going to find that in this list, and you're going to go into it. And the next set of folders, what you're going to be looking for is something called student work. It's all run together as one word, and you'll double click and go inside of that folder. And from there, you're going to see a list of student names. And what you're going to need to do is find your name. And what I'd like for you to do is look at the very bottom where I have a sort of like a dummy folder. It's called last name, first name, and I put an X at the beginning just so it would go all the way to the bottom and be easy for me to find as an example folder. So what you're going to do, pretending like this is your folder, you would find your actual name, okay, is you would go inside that folder, And once you're inside that folder, you would need to do a test to drag and drop some stuff and make sure that it actually works. And for this class, what you're going to do is you're going to actually have a folder for your projects, and actually you're going to have a project folder for each project. So let's go ahead and make those file folders right now. And let's do it on my desktop so that you can see how to transfer files. So over here on the right, I'm going to click on my desktop and I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new folder. Let's, this is going to be for, let's say that this is, for our class, and I'm going to create project 1. And this is based on the fact that this would be on a school computer. All right, so I made a folder called project 1, and inside of that folder, let me go ahead and double click that, and I can make some folders inside of the project 1 folder. So what I'll do is I'll right click again and I'll say audio, because you're going to have a folder in there that you're going to store your audio files in. And then you're going to create another new folder called video, and there will be another one called images. And the other thing too that I'm going to do is create a file that is called another thing that sometimes I'll do that I'll create is a folder that's called working files. So I'll call it working, and I'll just call it working. You can call it working files or whatever you want to refer to it as. And the kinds of things that I would put in working files would be like native files, like native PSD files, native Premiere Pro files, things like that. The things that you would have to use in the actual program before you can render out your final product. So anyway, I've got this folder now, project 1, and it has all these subdirectories in it. What I can do if I want to put it up on the server is I can just literally drag and drop it over. So I'll just drag it and I'll drop it, and you'll see that it'll start to upload it. Okay. Now, one of the things that sometimes students will do with Fetch, and they get really confused, is once something is up on the server, they'll actually try to open a file from here, like double click it, and it's not going to let you do that. You can't, you're just not allowed to do that. You would have to drag something from the server to your desktop and work on it on your desktop computer. So you can't work on it directly off of the server. That's not allowed. Okay. So the other thing too that you can do is, let's take a really quick peek. Let me open up a browser window. Okay, I'm just going to close this and pretend like that's not, it's looking for a file that's no longer there. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and type mat.miracosta.edu/, and then what you would have to do is look up basically my name in that folder that you found before, which is Matt120_Cotner. All right. And so when you find that, let's close that tab. When you find that, what you'll be able to do then is navigate into that student work folder, and you'll see your name somewhere, and you're going to click it from the list. And then what you should see on the web is you should see the stuff that you uploaded. So there's a project 1 folder, and it has a bunch of other empty folders inside of it. Like there's an empty audio folder, empty images folder, and so on. That's what we actually made. And if your files were up there, you'd actually be able to look at them on the web. Please don't get these two things confused. This is a browser, like it's Chrome or Firefox or Microsoft Edge or Safari or something like that. It's a browser that allows you to look at web pages. And if it's not normally a web page, it'll, if you're lucky, and the server's set up properly, and ours is, it'll show you a web directory listing so that you can navigate through and find the stuff you're looking for if you don't know what you're looking for. All right, this is a web browser. That is different. I'm going to close that. It is different than what Fetch is, or what CyberDuck is, or what WinSCP or something like that is. This is just a program that allows you to transfer your files from point A to point B. I can either get them from my desktop, send them through the network using Fetch up to the MAT server, Okay, or I can grab what's on the server and I can drag it down. So for instance, let's say you do some homework at your house and you upload it to the server, but then you get into class and you want to work on it. Well, you would connect to the server and then you would download that work to your desktop, drag and drop. So when you're finished transferring files, either to the server or grabbing them off of the server and downloading them somewhere, you're going to want to make sure that you disconnect. So the easiest way to do it is just to close out the window up there, right? And then you can quit the program, and then you know for sure that the connection has been closed and no one else can get into your folder and mess with your stuff. Now, you might be wondering, sometimes people ask me, why do I even need to do this? You know, why can't I just carry everything around on a flash drive? Well, I've actually had several students in the past, um, lose everything, either because they lost their flash drive or because the flash drive became corrupted, or like if it was a hard disk, they had a larger backup hard drive that they carried around, something happened to it. And if you're not making a secondary backup and just throwing your files up on the server either before you leave your house, if you did stuff at home, or before you leave the library, if you did work, especially if you are doing work at the library. If you do work at the library, you need to make sure that you have at least a really good backup on your thumb drive, and preferably as a secondary method on the server, because if something happens to that thumb drive, then you are in trouble, like you've lost your files, because the library computers, on any of the school's computers, once they log out or get rebooted, you lose everything because they all reset themselves. So it's a really good idea to put the stuff up on the server, and then of course that's where your stuff has to go when you turn things in, and you also have to give your files to me that way. So anyway, that's the end of this demo. Let me know if you have any questions.